What is up, everybody? My name is Omar Rodriguez, and welcome to the Metal Mixtape. Today, we are going to be talking about Wacken and Wacken 2025, which is going to be happening July 30th to August 2nd. Go check them out. Google Wacken, check out the lineup. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the lineup. We're going to be watching the after movie of 2024, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Omar Rodriguez. I live in Ashland, Oregon. I'm 35. I'm a single dad to an awesome little 5-year-old named Kai, and I love heavy metal. I've been playing music for 20 years. I've been doing YouTube for 5 years, and I've been doing FM radio for 8 years, and I have been doing reviews and interviews literally my whole life. Over 1,000 videos on YouTube. Radio for 8 years, probably like 500 to 600 episodes, and I've done 350 interviews plus, and before I started getting into my bigger interviews, I interviewed everybody in my local scene, 50 to 100 bands. And, what's crazy is that I never expected to do interviews. Playing music was one thing, but with the interviews, I went on the radio just to play music, just to promote albums, and a local band came up to me and was like, Omar, can you guys interview us? And I was like, dude, I've never done it, And then all of a sudden it went from me doing my first interview ever and not knowing what I was doing to now I have over 350 on my belt. And we've been featured on Blabbermouth, Loudwire, Metal Hammer, Metal Sucks, Guitar.com, UltimateGuitar.com. We've interviewed all sorts of bands around the world, and, it has just made... I never thought that this was going to be a dream of mine. I never thought I was going to be doing radio and especially YouTube for so long. Like, anybody who's followed my channel, they have literally been in my life since before I even had children. And now I'm fully gray and, we're moving into the next generation of my life. So it's just been an absolute journey, being a musician. And, and for me, growing up as a musician, as a super huge fan, Wacken has always been like the mecca for me, because ever since I started doing interviews, ever since I started with YouTube coming out and videos coming out, Wacken has been the staple for heavy metal around the world. And everybody I've talked to has just said if for heavy metal, it's the mecca. And if you love heavy metal, this is the thing, And I've interviewed so many artists have always mentioned about Wacken just being incredible, The last artist I interviewed was G from Dragon Force, and he was telling me, what? This is the mecca for heavy metal. This is literally like the playground. This is like for Christmas. This is like the North Pole. This is the place for heavy metal, and it's almost like the origination. You know what I mean? I don't know. But for me, I was like, all right, I almost had like fate or God talk to me one day, and I was like, Omar, you've done so many interviews and all this, and there's a place where in my heart where I want to take that next step, and the next step is going to Wacken. And last year I didn't have the funds or the passport, and this year I have the passport and the funds, and I'm hoping to go as media. I've interviewed a lot of bands that have played Wacken. I love music. I've been doing this. I grind this out. I do interviews on my lunches at work. I do interviews at 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning. I love bleed, and I can't survive without heavy metal. It's my oxygen. It's like, and I always know that no matter what happens in my life, I'm going to work as hard as I can to just, live out my dreams. And one of my dreams is Wacken, and Wacken is next in my heart, Awesome bands that I want to check out at Wacken, and bands I've interviewed. Dimmy Borgir, which was literally the first band who ever gave me a chance. Huge shout out to Selenos. Selenos is the first big artist I ever interviewed after doing like 100 or 200 interviews. He gave me a chance. I've been a fan of Dimmy Borgir ever since Prodigy to the Apocalypse. I saw them at Ozfest 2004. Selenos was an absolute gem, and I just can't wait to see him again. But artists I've interviewed at Wacken that I can't wait to see again: Dimmy Borgir, Liliac, Fear Factory, Crown Shift, August Burns Red, Forbidden, Majestic, and Static X. But I'm just excited to see everybody. But you know what? Let's watch the after movie. We'll talk a little bit more. And everybody send me your heavy metal prayers and horns, and hope I get accepted to go to Wacken this year. All right, guys, let's do this. Here's the official after movie here on the Metal Mixtape. So beautiful. Oh my god. Huge shout out to Wacken. Get your tickets now if you haven't already. I know it's sold out, but alright. I'm going to do everything in my power to go to Germany this year, to go to Wacken. I have to go. I'll tell you this from the very beginning. I'll tell you this. If anybody from Wacken's watching or anybody who supports me, it's very hard for me to make videos where I have to support, where I have to not support, but I love to support. I mean, to promote myself and say things about me, you know, like as far as resume and all that. You know, for me, I'll just tell you straight the way it is. I love metal. I grew up metal. If it wasn't for heavy metal, I literally wouldn't have my son. If it wasn't for heavy metal, I literally wouldn't have the friends I have now. If it wasn't for heavy metal, I wouldn't have all these career paths. I would have never been a musician. I would have never worked in radio. You know, I throw my own festivals. I would have never thrown my own festivals. You know, this year I was one of the judges and I was the host to the Battle for Wacken in Portland. I wouldn't, all these things. I grew up being like a very insecure type of person where it was very hard for me to express myself. And when I first was getting into Ozzy Osbourne and System of a Down and Trivium and Dimmu Borgir and Avenged Sevenfold and Nightwish and all these bands, they really opened up my heart. It really loosened up my soul and my heart, and just, they gave me everything. You know, I was a very depressed person before heavy metal, and metal has been my savior my entire life. And when I see Wacken and how I see so many artists talk about Germany and being like, dude, you know, if heavy metal saved your life, you need to go to the birthplace, where the biggest festival on the planet that promotes heavy metal and unity and friendship and positivity and everybody just being themselves. You have to go to Wacken. And I will go to Germany. I'm going to work my tail off, dude. It's hard. It's freaking hard. I've been doing this for so long. But you know what? I'm not going to quit. Support Wacken. Support heavy metal. Support yourself. Support positive energy, dude. Support positive mindset. We can do this. Like I said, like, I do interviews, I do promotions, and I do like all these other things. But to do a video where like I'm talking about a certain festival, I've never done. To talk about a video about like myself and things I've done, I've never done. So this is the first for YouTube, but I'm gonna do it while I'm talking about Wacken, because Wacken is a goal of mine. You know, I told my mom this year, you know, I was like, Mom, I gotta go no matter what. And my mom's trying to help me with the plane ticket this year, and I just gotta go. You know, I gotta show Wacken that I'm gonna work my tail off. I'm gonna show up early. I'm gonna leave way later than I need to. I'm gonna do all my research. I'm gonna make sure I'm always on time and I get all my tasks that are done of me. I've been doing journalism and interviews for almost a decade, and I'm ready to take that next step, and Wacken is that next step. I need to go to the birthplace. I need to go to the heaven and hell of metal. Wacken 2025. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. We're going to keep making these videos, but you know what? No shame. I told you guys that I love, you know, all the love and a little bit about myself, and I just need to be real with you guys. Send me your heavy metal horns. For me, my son, my family, and everybody, I got to go to Germany this year. We got to do this. My name is Omar, DJ the Don Ramo. Thank you guys.